I'm super excited to be with you. We had around 30 women register, and so our numbers may be fewer than expected, but it's still going to be a great opportunity to be able to work with you. And this workshop series, I'm going to tell you a little bit about how it came about and also share a little bit of my story before we go into what this workshop's all about, which is rediscovering yourself and building confidence. So this first one is just helping us find ourselves again, because confidence begins there. And then every workshop will be a different topic around building confidence in all areas of your life. So whether you're returning to the workforce, you want to start a business, you want to go back to school, or you just want to try something new, this workshop is for you. And so if you have female friends who could benefit from this, please share it with them. This is totally free. I do it because, and I'll go into this a little bit, but because I just know how important it is. Basically, how this particular series came about was I did some research when I was starting Elavare, which is my nonprofit. I did some research with some BYU students, and they interviewed over 100 women. And they were all either in the workforce or thinking about going into the workforce. And 83% of them said that the biggest challenge that they had was their lack of confidence. And I thought to myself, wow, if women who are in the workforce lack confidence and women who are thinking about returning to the workforce, this must be something that all women feel, because I know I feel a lack of confidence often in my life. And I was talking to a chief executive officer here locally, and she's a very well-known woman. And I remember her saying one time, she said, "Heather, I'm just lacking confidence about something." And I was like, wow, you are successful. I mean, she's been the CEO of multiple companies locally here. I thought, wow, she's lacking confidence. This is something that we lack regularly, and we have to continue to build over and over again. So if you're lacking confidence, you're not alone. Even the people that may look like they have it all together are lacking confidence. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about why I think this workshop series is so important. As I said before, it takes time. Confidence has to be built over and over again. So some week, some month, some year, you may be feeling really confident. You might think, I can do anything, I'm on top of the world, everything's going well. And then before you know it, things can switch and you are left with this feeling of, I don't know who I am anymore. I used to be able to do these great things. Now I don't even feel like I can leave my house. Like, this is real. These feelings are real. And I want to share a little bit about my story. This is me 10 years ago, almost 11 years ago. And in 2014, my husband of almost 25 years filed for divorce. And it turned my life upside down. And I all of a sudden had to provide for these little guys. And he wasn't working at the time, and he was dealing with some issues of his own. And I had to all of a sudden go back to work. And I knew I was going to go back into the workforce at some point. I had been a stay-at-home mom for 18 years. But I thought, oh, well, when I go back into the workforce, I'm going to do it on my terms. I'm going to do it when it's convenient. I might work part-time. I'm going to do what I want. Like, there was this plan that all of a sudden was turned upside down. And so suddenly I found that I had to provide for my kids, and I didn't even know where to start. And I remember when I was talking to my brother Brian, because I had started to apply for jobs because I just didn't know how I was going to find a job. And I also have to preface this by, this confidence series is not about returning to the workforce, even though that's what I do with Elavare. It's about building confidence. So I want to tell you my journey so you understand how I built confidence over time. But my brother Brian, so I've been applying to all these jobs and not hearing anything. I think I applied to like 80 jobs. And I thought, gosh, because I had worked before I had kids. I had a college degree. Like, I had, but I didn't think anybody would hire me, to be honest with you, because it had been 18 years. So I asked my brother Brian if he could help me. He goes, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, why did you have to ask me that? Like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't remember what I liked. I don't remember who I am or was, or I don't know. And he's like, well, what kind of things do you like to do now? And I was like, well, I'm just a mom. And he's like, well, you're not just a mom. There's so many other things about you that aren't just who you take care of every day. And I know some of you are mothers, and I know some of you are fathers, and I know some of you are caregivers. I would say all of us take care of somebody besides ourselves. And I say this because when you pour yourself into other people for so long, you lose yourself in the process. And I think part of it is because when we give ourselves so much to individuals or to a company or whatever it may be that you gave up part of yourself to give to them or it actually serves its purpose. It's important. If I hadn't lost myself in becoming a mother and being a great mother to these kids, I might not have prioritized some things that were important. I might not have done some of the things that if I'd been selfish or prioritized myself over, then I might not have contributed in my best way. But what we forget is we should be giving things to ourselves. We should be giving like moments and opportunities for education and training and discovery to ourselves, but we just don't. I think women especially are fortunate and blessed to be just givers. Like we just can't help it. We want to give, and it's what makes each of us beautiful and unique. And we've been giving to other people, other things for so long that somehow in the process we forgot who we are. And a lot of us identify with what we've been giving to. So if you've been giving to your job right now and you haven't been happy with it for some time, you are identifying with the job that you've been doing for the past how many years. If you're not in the workforce and you happen to be a stay-at-home mom, you identify as being a mother. If you are a caregiver, you identify as I help take care of my aging parents, whatever it may be. But we identify with what we do. And oftentimes what we spend every single day doing, day in, day out, becomes our identification. That's not bad, it's just not serving us well. Because we're so much more than just what we are doing every single day. But I had to discover this for myself. So I share this because I went back in the workforce after not being in it for 18 years. I had to figure out how to work again. I had to do a resume. I had to get out there. I had to network. I had to build confidence. And this confidence was built over time. And I had to borrow on others' confidence before I could find it for myself. And that's what I tell women all the time. Borrow other people's confidence until you can find it in yourself. Because confidence, and we'll talk about this a lot, but confidence requires evidence. And if we can't see the great things we've accomplished in our life, whether it was as we were a teenager in school, when we were in college, when we were doing our first job, whatever we may have achieved, if we can't recall that easily, it causes us to not remember who we are and what we're capable of. And so in this picture, this was taken just about a couple months before my divorce was final. I remember, what you don't see is this really scared mother who doesn't know how she's going to provide for her children, who doesn't know how this happened to her. This was not on the roadmap. This was not planned. And needing to pretend that everything's okay. Like put on the happy face, kids, everything's going to be fine. Life is great. And inside, I was dying. I was dying. I was mortified that I was going through this experience and embarrassed that I didn't have the perfect family and outward appearance that I thought I was going to always have. And then I felt really inadequate. And I felt like if I can't discover who I am and I can't figure that out, how can I get a job? How can I provide for my family? How can I do anything that's for me? Because I don't know who I am anymore. And there's a movie with Julia Roberts, and it's called Runaway Bride. And in the movie, she's trying to figure out what eggs she likes. And she's going through and she's discovering what eggs she likes and what she doesn't like. And she's trying all these breakfast dishes because she has never done that for herself. Like she's always eaten what the other person has wanted, and she's just accepted it. And I think that's what we do often as women. We just accept what is given to us. We accept what other people want first because it's easier to go along to get along. And that's not always a bad thing. It's good to want to cooperate, but we lose ourselves as women in that process because we want to make things easier for other people. So we put ourselves on the back burner. We figure, well, we'll get to ourselves at some point, and that point never comes. And then all of a sudden we're faced with something like I had this divorce, or you are all of a sudden caring for aging parents and wondering, what do I get to do for myself? Or you're thinking about, gosh, I've been doing these other things my whole life or during my career, and now I don't really like it anymore. So what do I really want to do? So that is what we are determining here, is why rediscovering ourselves really matters. And it's because if we don't know who we are, we cannot give the best part of ourselves, because we're not even sure what we can contribute. And as women, if you're thinking about, returning to the workforce or changing careers or doing something new, whether it's starting a business, going back to school, you need to take the time to find yourself again. And so what we're talking about today is going to be, I'm going to give you some actionable things you can do to rediscover yourself. And then I will also be sending you an email with a checklist of things, action items that you need to do. Because oftentimes we'll attend workshops, we'll attend these great presentations, and we feel really motivated and inspired. And we're like, oh, we take lots of notes, we're going to do this. And then we don't really do it. So what I discovered from doing my first workshop series last year, a year ago, when I first started Elavare and doing these return to the workforce classes, I learned that women need something to hold on to, something tangible that they can refer to and look at. So I did not grow up in the digital world, and I love paper. And so I'm going to be sending you a PDF that you can print. And if you don't want to print it, you don't have to. But I want you to print it, and I want you to refer back to it. I want you to be reminded of what we talked about, so you can actually take the actions that you need to be taking. Because if you come to this series and you get pumped up every time, but you don't actually take action, it's only going to get you halfway there. Like, it's going to give you motivation, it's going to make you feel good, but you're not going to be motivated. You're not going to actually make a change in your life. And I want you to get out there and make changes. So we are going to figure out why this whole process matters and how we're going to become better because of it. Okay, so how to rediscover yourself beyond your role as a caregiver. All right, so and I use caregiving because we all care for other people because we're women. And you are caring for aging parents, you're caring for children, you're caring for your job, people you're working for, people you work with, and maybe it's something in your community, but we as women are givers. So I want you to think about, how can you rediscover yourself outside of this role that you have been talking about yourself for some time as a caregiver, all right? So if you were not to introduce yourself as a mother, a woman, whatever, and I want you to think about this and just reflect on it, how would you introduce yourself to someone else? If you're meeting somebody for the first time and you weren't to go to that caregiver role in what you've been doing, how would you want to introduce yourself? And when I say caregiver, I mean, like, if you didn't want to introduce yourself as in the role that you've been doing as an employee or in the community, like, how would you want to introduce yourself? I remember one person I met at a conference, and they introduced themselves as, I make dreams happen. I was like, wait, did you say you make dreams happen? And he said, yeah, I make dreams happen. Like, well, tell me a little bit more. And as I learned, it wasn't like he was a dream maker. He did some other things, but because of what he did, he made dreams happen, right? And I love that. And if you were an interior designer, maybe you might say, I make people's surroundings beautiful. Or, and I want you to think about what you do outside of your caregiver role that you would describe yourself and introduce yourself as, okay? I want you to also think about, what were you passionate about before you became this person, this role, okay? And I'm going to give you a bunch of questions to think about. And some of the questions I'm going to ask aren't here, but I learned when I started teaching classes with my church that it's always best to put the questions up on the board first. So if you're wanting to have interaction and engagement, which I would love if you guys feel up to it, I would love for us to be able to talk about some of these things. So I'm going to go over each of these questions, just if you can't see the words. So think about, if you weren't introduced as a mother, wife, or caregiver, how would you describe yourself? So we just covered that. Number 2, what were you passionate about before taking on these roles? What did you love to do as a child, teenager, young adult? Like, think back, like, what did you love to do? When I think about myself, I remember thinking I loved public speaking for sure. Like I loved presenting, and that's something that I didn't get to do for a really long time when I became a mom. I also loved travel. I love to do travel, but then I didn't get to do any travel for a really long time. I got to do occasional travel, but it wasn't a priority. So think about the things that you got really excited about. And when I think passion, it doesn't need to be like, whoo, like super strong. It could just be like, what made your heart happy? Like what gave you happiness before you became this caregiver? Number 3, what activities or interests make you feel most like yourself? So as you're trying to rediscover yourself, what are some things you do right now? And a lot of us aren't doing anything for ourselves. I know this because I didn't do anything for myself. So you may have a hard time answering this question. No, but think about what activities or interests make you feel most like yourself. Is it when you're with a lot of people? Is it when you're all alone by yourself and going for a walk or reading a book? Is it when you get to serve other people? Is it when you're doing something physical, exercise, running? Is it going to events and experiencing that energy from an event? But I want you to write down, if you've got a journal, and I want you to think about what are the things that you're like, okay, I am most like myself, or at least remember how I loved to be when I did XYZ. And like I said, some of you may not have done anything for yourself for a long time. So you may have to dig down deep and think about when you were a child, a teenager, a young adult. And that's perfectly fine. Because I bet you that is still a part of you. And you've just put it into a nice, neat box and put it up on the shelf. Before I became a stay-at-home mom, I had lots of ambition. There were so many things I wanted to do. I was very confident, and then I became a stay-at-home mom, and this confidence went away pretty quickly. And if I were to ask myself this question, even probably 5 years ago, I don't know that I would be able to tell you really easily what makes me most feel like myself. And so this may take some time. You may have to really think about, okay, I know that I used to love this. You may have to ask yourself, do I still love it? You may have to try it and see if that's something you still enjoy, because we change. I remember talking to a mother, and she was thinking about going back into the workforce, and she's like, I was a nurse before I was a stay-at-home mom, and I loved being a nurse. But I've taken care of my aging parents, and I've taken care of my kids. I never want to be a nurse ever again. Like, I don't want to have anything to do with taking care of anyone. And that's good that she figured that out, because the worst thing would be for her to go right back into nursing, because that's what she was comfortable with. That's what she knew what to do. And oftentimes that is what we do. We go back to the things that we're super comfortable in. But does that make you feel most like yourself? It's comfortable, but are you really being true to who you are? And sometimes you have to try different things to figure out what it is that really makes you happy, makes your heart happy. You might have to explore things that you think you would never, ever do. So for example, something that I never in a million years thought I would do is AI, artificial intelligence. And I remember when I was, years ago when the internet came out, I was teaching some high school students in a class, and we were talking, it was just a church class, and we were talking about the internet. And I asked them, I said, so what is this World Wide Web? Like, what is that? Like, it's not a web like a spider, right? Or like, I literally did not know at all what this internet thing was. And I was really behind because I wasn't actually in the workforce using it, and I wasn't in school. And so I promised, and I felt really out of it. And I promised myself, if anything technological came down the pipe, like the internet, I was not going to be left behind. I was going to figure it out, and I was going to learn it. And I never in a million years would ever have called myself somebody that knew AI or talked about it or got excited about it, but I am now. And so sometimes you have to push yourself to do something you don't naturally feel inclined to do, because that's going to help you rediscover yourself. And it's just all part of the process. The number 4 one that I really love is, if you could take on any challenge without fear, what would it be? Fear keeps us from doing a lot of things. Fear keeps us from discovering what's really possible. And I'm going to share this story because I think it helps show you how to push through fear. So when I went back into the workforce, I kept feeling like there was something more that I was supposed to do with myself. I couldn't figure out what it was. This thought just kept coming to me. And I just barely started my first full-time job out of being a stay-at-home mom. I had these 5 kids. I had an Amazon business on the side and an eBay business on the side. And I was involved in the community. I had church responsibilities. But I kept feeling like this internal, there's something else I was supposed to do. And it was driving me nuts. It would not go away. No matter how much I talked to other people, how much I thought, I prayed, I could not figure it out what it was. And I did some things to help me figure it out, or hopefully lead me to figuring it out. And one day I was at church and somebody came to me and said, I think you should go back to school and get your MBA. And I was like, wait, can you repeat that again? I think you should go back to school and get an MBA. And this person who was talking to me was a professor at BYU. And I was like, floored, A, that he thought I could go back to school and get my MBA. And B, like, doesn't he realize I'm a single mom with 5 kids and I work full time? Like, where in the world would that fit in? And I told him, I said, I'm really flattered that you thought I could do this, but I'm a full-time mom. I'm a full-time employee now, and I'm a mom of 5 kids, and I don't have time. He goes, oh, well, you could go do the executive MBA program, go to school on the weekends. And I was like, I laughed audibly because I was like, he is not getting it. And I just said, thank you so much for thinking so much of me. Not interested. And all the rest of that day, the thought of going back to school and getting my MBA would not leave me. It was on my mind all day long. And at the end of the day, I prayed about it, and I knew that is exactly what I was supposed to do. And it scared me to death. Because A, I finished my undergrad at BYU in 3 years because I wanted to finish as quickly as possible. I took an average of 21 credit hours my last 3 semesters. Actually, it might have been 20, but it was a lot. And I was so glad to be done with school because I felt so much pressure to do well. But when he, suggested this thing of going back to school and getting my MBA, I was like, oh my gosh, like that is going to be so hard. And I knew that this is what I was supposed to do, and it was freaking me out. And there were some things that happened that were amazing and contributed to me being able to go back to school and get my MBA. But I share that with you because I never thought I was smart. I have smart brothers. I'm not smart. I didn't think I could take the time. I didn't want to take the time for me. Like, I didn't want to do something for myself. Like, I'm doing it for everybody else. I'm not important. So I put it off. And the money, right? And just the added resources and stress that was going to cause. But going back to school and getting my MBA was the best thing I've ever done in my entire life, hands down. Because what it taught me was if I could do something so hard to go back to school, then I can do other hard things. It wasn't so much the MBA for me. Like, yes, it was great to have that on my resume and it helped me probably get some other jobs. But for me, it was all about building this confidence. And it also helped me rediscover myself because I was taking classes and talking to other people and learning what they were doing and figuring out, oh, I've never thought of doing that before. That's really interesting. And the more you talk to other people and ask them, you can get ideas. But this idea of taking on a challenge without fear, everything that's hard is going to be scary. There is nothing easy that comes without. Just fear is going to be a part of our lives. And if there's something great and wonderful, it's going to be scary. It just is. And the scariest things I've done have been the best things I've done. And so as you're thinking about rediscovering yourself, think about the really scary things that you might do if you were, willing to take it on. And it takes time to build up this confidence to get over the scary thing of the fear that you're experiencing. So let's think about 4 ways to rediscover yourself. All right, so I've kind of given you some examples of my life and how I've been in the process of rediscovering myself. I'm still rediscovering myself. We should always be in the process of rediscovering ourselves because we change, we grow, different things happen to us that affect us and cause us to look at life differently, have a different perspective. And so it's really important that you're always looking for ways to rediscover yourself. So the first thing I suggest is create a me map. And what this involves is taking a piece of paper and you put your name in the center with a big circle around it. And out of it, you do spokes for all the things that you enjoy, that you like, okay? And it might be reading, it might be travel, it might be being a mom, it might be taking care of your aging parents, it might be selling. I remember selling Girl Scout cookies and loving it. I didn't actually love selling Girl Scout cookies, but maybe you like to sell. What are all the things that you're like? You might like cleaning. Like, I know a woman who loves organizing. She loves going through her pantries and organizing, and that led her to becoming a professional, home organizer. That is what she does for a living. And it wasn't until she did something similar to this me map that she realized, oh, I get so much satisfaction of organizing and cleaning things. So those things can be lots of different things, and those spokes might lead to other things. So at the end of the spoke, the spokes out of your center are going to be circles about those things. So you might say travel, learning, cooking, whatever it might be. And then those things will lead to other ideas. Like within cooking, I love, Thai food. Within travel, I love meeting new people. So in other words, within those little circles, you're going to find different things, and they're going to lead to each other, and they're going to be connecting also. So you'll end up having this almost spider web of different things, and that will help you rediscover yourself because you just do this exercise. Give yourself a timer. You can take like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, however long you think it's going to take you to complete this me map, and it's going to give you a lot of things that you're going to remember, and some things that you're not gonna remember. Something that I think is also really helpful that I didn't put on this, but it's kind of helps you with your me map. So if you're having a hard time figuring out what you love and what kind of things interest you, something we did in my MBA program is we asked 20 to 30 individuals, friends and family, people who know us really well, and we sent them an email and we asked them to give us 3 characteristics that described us. So 3 words that describe us. And you can do that as well. And you could also change it a little bit to what are the 3 things you think I'm really good at? And they will send you an email, and you give them 3 days to send it to you. And then they're going to send you an email back of the things that describe you that you are good at. And I love this exercise because they said some things that I never in a million years would have guessed. And if more than a few people say the same thing, you can believe it's true. So one of the things that I learned, a lot of people thought I was smart. Never. They said smart, intelligent. No, I promise you, my brothers are really, really smart. I never would have thought I was smart. And even getting my MBA, getting into the MBA program, I still didn't think I was smart. I know it's crazy, but that is how I felt. They also said I was determined. And multiple said I was determined. And I thought, wow, I never would have described myself as determined. So do this exercise because not only does it help you figure out rediscover yourself, it'll also help you realize who you are. Like, I didn't realize that. And the third thing was passion. Those 3 things were the words that stood out. And once you get these emails back, those are things that are going to help you figure out yourself and rediscover yourself. So that's something I really think is important. Revisit a past passion or hobby. Now, you can either revisit a past passion or hobby that you know you loved, but if you think it's changed, try doing something different. I took a stained glass making class about 2 years ago. And I remember being so excited because I was like, I'm gonna be a stained glass maker. Like, I really love stained glass. And I took the stained glass class and I hated it. I was terrible at it. Do you know that you cut your fingers? Like, it's not easy. And those stained glass things that you go to the little boutiques and they cost $30, that's why they cost $30. It's not easy, it's hard. And so sometimes you have to try different hobbies, try different things. And I learned I do not want to make stained glass. I will buy stained glass. So try different things that you might have had a passion about or something that you don't know and you've always wanted to try. So do that. Number 3, go somewhere new. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. You can take a hike up Timpanogos. You can do something new in the area but go somewhere new. Sometimes just changing your environment gives you a different perspective, gives you something different to think about. And it will get your juices flowing. Like, take some time. And when you go to that new place, write down in this journal, a notebook, whatever you want to call it, some of the feelings that you had. Why did you love that place? What got you really excited about it? And what did you not like about it? Because you're trying to discover yourself. And part of the things that you love and hate about something is going to be important to help you rediscover yourself. Okay. Number 4, start a what makes me feel alive journal. All right. This can all be in the same journal of writing things, and I've never actually made my own like separate journal for this, but go through the exercise of like what makes you feel the most excited and the most happy. The thing that makes me most alive is doing this. And that's why I do it, because I love it. Like, it does not require, like some people get stressed and nervous about talking in group. I don't. I think of you guys as my friends, and I just do what I do because I enjoy sharing. And that makes me feel alive. So write in your journal, like, what is it that's giving you excitement? And that's going to help you rediscover yourself as well. All right. This is something you need to recognize. We'll talk about this a lot during this confidence workshop series. The confidence you need is already in you. It's in you. You just can't recall it. You can't, the evidence, you just can't remember it. You can't see it. And so when you don't feel confident, it's not because it's not in you. It's just you have forgotten. You've forgotten some of these things that give you the evidence that give you confidence. So just recognize that it is in you, and it will be manifested over this time, this journey that you're going to be taking to rediscover yourself. All right. I'm going to take some questions at the end, but I always want to have key takeaways. The first one, you are more than your current role. So whatever you're doing, whether you're in the workforce right now, you're out of the workforce, you are caring for aging parents, you're caring for children, you are, an enthusiast with whatever, whatever your current role is that you do day in, day out, that is not just who you are. And I know that when I was not working in the workforce, I would introduce myself and I'd say, I'm just a mom. And I can't believe I would say that, just a what? Like, that is just crazy. Mothers are so busy and do so much, but you are so much more than your current role. Number 2, it's not too late. It's not too late to rediscover yourself. It takes time to figure these things out, but recognize that it's never too late to find yourself again. And you might be kicking yourself in like, why didn't I start this so much long time ago? It's okay, because it takes time for us to even realize that we've lost ourselves in the process. I know some women who just one day they're like, Heather, I've lost myself. I don't remember who I am anymore. I don't remember what I like. I don't know what I'm good at. And this just happens slowly over time. Start small. This process of rediscovering and building confidence, start small. We're gonna talk about different things that will just be easy to do. And then when you start getting used to doing those easy things, you can take on the bigger things. You can do the hard things that, like, well, Susie across the street can do amazing things. I could never do that. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. I know that's hard to ask because I compare myself to other people all the time, but really try not to, because we're just focused on you right now. This whole workshop series is only about you. And I want you to think about the small things, small steps that you can take every single day, week, months, and we'll talk about what that process looks like in a later session. Let's start small. And then this is a process of becoming. You are becoming someone new. You are not only rediscovering yourself of who you used to be and what you used to like, but you're also becoming a new person. And it's part of the process of giving yourself attention. That just is going to come naturally. When you start to invest in yourself, anything you give time to becomes more. So when you give more of yourself, more to yourself, you're going to become more. And it's a process. And it's super exciting. And I get really excited about it. This is one of my favorite quotes. I wish I was the one that thought of it, but it's Green Clark is the one who at least shared it with me. She may have gotten it from something else, but there's no growth in comfort and no comfort in growth. So this workshop series is all about growing. And if you think you're going to have a comfortable time, think again. I'm going to be pushing you to do things that you know you need to do, because it's going to make you who you were always supposed to be. And it's going to be scary and hard, and you're going to think, oh, this is like, I have so many things going on, I don't have time. Make time. And you're going to grow, and it's going to be so amazing. Like, I look back at myself, that picture I showed you of me and my kids, I don't hardly recognize that woman. And that was 10 years ago. I'm a completely different person than I was then. And yes, I went through hard things, but I also took the time to find out what makes me really happy and how I could give my best self to other people by finding myself. And this is going to be kind of our mantra throughout this whole thing. And then lastly, you are stronger than you think. You may look at other women, you may look at these other people and like, oh, they can do it, I can't. But I promise you, you can. Because the strength is in you. Again, you just have forgotten. You used to do amazing things. You used to do hard things. And you do hard things daily, but not for yourself. And that's what it's all about, is building this confidence in yourself is going to help you become a better woman, a better caregiver, a better contributor to a society. It's going to, people around you are going to recognize how you are giving back to them because you're giving to yourself. And I've seen this time and time again happen, that when I put myself, give myself some priority, and I make myself a priority, and it's not every day, I benefit, but the people that are around me benefit just as much. And as you get confidence, the people who are around you will also want to ask you, and they'll say, hey, why, you just seem different. You just seem happier. You just seem more confident. And I promise this happens little by little, and it is something that you won't see right away. So that's why, again, I encourage you to write these things in a journal, because your first entry is gonna be, this is what I am right now. I'm not feeling confident. Or you may feel confident, and maybe you're watching this to share with someone else. But I promise, confidence, there's ebbs and flows of it. Like, there's some times when I'm like, I've got this, and other times I don't got this. And right now, I've had a really hard week. I don't got this. You might be looking at me like, oh, Heather's so confident. Of course she can do this. She's like, no, actually this week, I feel like I have no confidence. Even so far as to a week ago is when I found out that we got the space. So I've been working with Supriya to get the space. And it's just taken time. So I started talking to them at the beginning of January, and just like, there are just some complications, but we have the space. And so I found out about it like a week and a half ago. And so when I found out last Monday that we definitely had the space, I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't do it, because this isn't enough time to do an event. I'm in marketing. I know what you do for events. You have to plan it like 3 weeks in advance. And it's just, you do these things so you can make sure you have a full event. Well, guess what? I didn't do any of that. And I put it out there, but I didn't really put it out there, because I was like, what if nobody comes? What if what I think I have to give and offer isn't really valuable and nobody really cares? And maybe my story is definitely not other people's story, so they're not going to be able to relate. So I was having this really hard time just building confidence in doing this workshop. So I share that because on the outside, it might have looked like, oh, I'm doing this workshop series, everything's so great, I have so much to share. And yes, I have a lot to share, but it's confidence that I'm building too. So you guys are giving back to me by coming here and being at this workshop, because it's going to build my confidence. And it's going to tell me, okay, I can teach these things to other people. I know that we are almost at time, and I want to have you guys ask questions, but this series, this confidence workshop series, they don't build on each other, meaning I might refer to some other sessions, but anybody could come to one, some, or all. So if you know a woman that could benefit from this, and men could come too, but we're going to talk more about women kind of things. But just know that if you can't come every time, that's okay. We're also going to try to, my father is here to record it, so hopefully there will be a recording. It's not live streamed, because that's just one more complication that I might be in tech, but I'm not technical. And I just don't want to have to deal with it. But I want more women to be able to benefit from this. I do this because I just love it. I do this because I know how important it is to build confidence. I do this because I know what it was like to feel like I had no confidence. And if I can help 5 women build confidence, I'm going to be thrilled. If I can help 500, I would be even more thrilled. But it's just my story, and it's just what I want to share. And if I can help you build confidence, then that's kind of what I'm here to do. This QR code is to the elavare.com website. Elavare is what I do. It's been my passion project. I started this nonprofit last year, and I help women build confidence and return to the workforce. So if you just want to build confidence, I'm here for you. If you want to return to the workforce, I'm also here for you. And these sessions that we're going to do every single week, I'll have different people coming and present. It's not just going to be me, so you won't always have to hear from me. But these are women that are going to share different things to help you build confidence in your life. And everyone is going to be super valuable. You'll have actionable takeaways every single time. I don't want you to go to these things and not do anything. And so tomorrow you'll get an email that will tell you the things that you learned and what you need to do. So my hope is that you will come away from this feeling a little bit more confident. And by the end of the series, you're going to feel a lot more confident, but realize it's going to ebb and flow. You're going to have to remind yourself, you have to read your journal and go back to it and remind yourself that you can do it. So thank you so much for joining, and I'm excited for next Thursday, 12 o'clock. So thanks. Okay, any questions? You may not have questions, and you may not, yeah. Okay, she asked how many weeks this workshop series is. It's 8 weeks. So last one is May 1st. So every single Thursday from 12 to 1. And I was trying to think of good times for people. And I know not every time is great, but this seemed to be the time during people's lunch hour. So if they were working, that could be an easier time to leave work. But yeah, 12 to 1. And out of this workshop series, I'm putting together an online course that will be available for people to take at their leisure. And when I do these workshop series, it's a way for me, again, for me to build confidence, but also to figure out like what works, what doesn't. So at the end of the series, I'm going to ask you guys, okay, what did you like? What did you not like? And I want you to give me your honest feedback. When I did this Elavare Summit in October for Elavare to help women return to the workforce, I got some hard feedback back, and it was like, I know I didn't do this, I know, but I learned. That's the only way I learn and benefit. So if you want to even let me know after this what you would have liked better or what you did like, I'd love to hear it. So 8 weeks. You are fine. If you came to this one, you can just keep coming. I will always have a registration for every week and the topic and what we're going to cover, but you'll get an email that says, what each session is, and you can choose to register again if you want, just so that you get the email reminder and put it on your calendar. But if you don't, you just want to put it on your calendar, that's good. And as long as you checked in with somebody here, then I'll have your, you checked in, and I'll make sure that you get that. So yes, always here. Yeah. And so if all of a sudden this room ends up being so full and there's standing room only, which would be amazing, then I'll probably have to make it so that you actually do physically register every time. But right now, you're fine. So just remember to come every Thursday. Anything else? How old were you? that professor told you to go back and get your MBA. You can believe it. Like sometimes I'm like, I think I was 45 or 44. Like, think about that. I was in my 40s. Somebody in my MBA was 61, and another person was 59 and 61. Like, no. And the other thing too is like when it's I let my professors know from the get-go. I just said, hey, I have a terrible memory. That's why I have to have notes and things like that and slides. I have a terrible memory. And so I just said, I don't think I can remember this stuff. Like I've always had a bad memory. And now I'm like a 40-something-year-old brain memory, right? And they understand. I also had a tutor come and help me do accounting because math is not my strong suit and will never be. And that's okay. And some classes were really, really hard, and I got through it by this, hair of my chin, and other ones I did well. So don't let age be a deterrent. I know. But again, like I remember saying to one of these older men that were in my program, and there was an older woman too. She was in her 50s. And I said to one of them, I said, why are you getting your MBA so late? Like, you're not going to really be able to use it. And they're like, oh, you have it all wrong. I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, I'm doing this because I want to be an example to my kids who have all gotten graduate degrees. And I know that I'm going to benefit from networking and making friends with everybody else. And I'm going to grow in the process. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get an MBA so I can be, yeah. So, yeah.
I didn't get my bachelor's until I was
And didn't it change you, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, obviously there were some things that were additive to my career and my life, but it was one of those things I just, whether I thought I didn't need it or I just kept putting it off, and one day I did it.
just did it. Yeah. Amazing. I love that. Yeah. It's amazing. It's like a couple years. Yeah. 100%. My brother said, Heather, 2 years are going to go by whether you're in school or not. Just do it. And that's the other things. Like I put off things in my life because I'm like, oh, it's not a good time. It's not what. There's never a good time. What were you going to say? I got my master's when I started on my doctorate, and then realized I wouldn't pay enough. So it's never too late. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Thanks, you guys, for coming. Make friends.